Welcome back to County Line Sports right here on News 98 WLDN 98.7 FM. I'm your host, Bill Downing, and live in studio we have Russ Gable. He is the director and founder of Freewater Experience. And Russ, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
You know, I've been wanting to talk to you for quite a while. I believe I touched base with you near the beginning of the year. Pretty exciting time for us. We're doing basketball on the radio. Now things have slowed down, and the fishing's finally starting to pick up because, Mother Nature is finally starting to cooperate. Things are warming up. The ice is leaving, and the rivers and lakes are coming alive. And can you let the listeners in on what Freewater Experience is all about?
Absolutely. We take, essentially, at its core, we build relationships with students. We have access to lunchrooms at the middle schools and high schools in our area. So we go in and we play trivia games with them. Mm-hmm. We go in and we build relationships with them. From there, we then promote kids. We promote the activities that we do. So we'll have, we offer donation-based fishing trips for students. It's just free. They can get groups of people together and we take them out fishing. There's whatever's biting is what we fish for. And we do survival camps. We sometimes do hunting with students. We're adding that in. We bought kayaks, so we do kayaks. So really getting kids into outdoors, but I'd say 80% of what we do is fishing trips.
And I find it really interesting that what hunting and fishing and the water is so therapeutic these days.
Absolutely.
Because I heard a story just before you came on the air about you took a kid out and he went out and you guys were near the water and he just stopped and he says, "Listen, there's nothing. There's nothing." And he's got such a busy life, a loud life, that the experience of having that peace and tranquility, what fishing, hunting, wherever it is, the outdoors especially, is something that I know that you preach, and Freewater Experiences is a huge program. And to get these kids out there experiencing this, especially in the way of life that things are now. I mean, things were so much slower back, in the days. Now it's like you're trying to put 48 hours into a 24-hour day and so much homework for kids and so forth. This is a great experience. Fishing, like I told you before, my father took me fishing, and it was the most therapeutic thing. You could have the worst day. You hit the water, life is really good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think that's what Freewater Experience is all about. Can you let the listeners in on exactly, the whole experience and how you came about with making the Freewater Experience?
Sure. I've been in youth ministry for 18 years, and I've in a conventional setting as a youth pastor at a church. And I hit a point where I was between churches and just thinking about it and prayerfully considering. And I realized there is a group of kids that I will never get to come to any event I do if it's in a church.
Right.
And for me, I was that kid in high school. Mm-hmm. Grew up in what I'd call a Christian family, but I stepped right away from it, got into partying and drinking and a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. And if it said church, I wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
So I kind of thought, I've been doing this ministry thing in the church setting a long time. I like a new challenge. Mm-hmm. There are lots of young youth pastors who can jump in and do the church ministry piece. So I said, I just want to really think about what could I use to really connect with these kids that connects with their interests. And I'm not trying to bring them into my church thing.
Right.
I'm trying to meet them at their interest level.
Right.
And so while I thought about it, ironically, I just went to do things that I like to do.
Right.
I started taking some kids I knew fishing, took a couple of them hunting, and it probably took 3 months for the light bulb to turn on, which sometimes I'm a little slow that way. But I realized that time in the boat with the kids, there's significant ministry stuff. There's just life impact happening there.
Right.
I'm building relationships. I've got a kid going out, and I know he's into drugs. And we fished 3 times, and I never said a word about it. And, finally he said, "Well, what do you think? I know you know that I'm doing drugs. What do you think about it?" I said, "What do you think I think?" And it was just, we had a great conversation about it. But the whole thing was I didn't drive at it. I just set the table, and then he came, and it kind of evolved out of that. And
and maybe that's all he needed was to get to talk to somebody in a setting that it was just one-on-one.
Safe.
A safe, where he felt safe and didn't feel like it was combative in any way, shape, or form. And you were there just to listen, and you helped that kid. I mean, you did through fishing, through the conversation, through faith, and look at. I mean, you rescue these kids, and when I say rescue, it really does, because there's a turning point in kids' lives. It's younger and younger these days. If you don't reach them at a young age, things can just go really bad, really, really fast.
Well, we've noticed we started, our initial focus was high school students, and we continue to reach out to high school kids, but a lot of our focus now, we're meeting in the lunchrooms with 5th and 6th graders.
Right.
And we find that's a great age because it seems like that's where, in 7th and 8th grade, that's when the wheels start to come off the cart.
Yeah, the peer pressure is huge.
Yeah, and if we can get them at that, what I would call late elementary age, that's a really great place to start pouring into them good values and good, just healthy hobbies. And, we watch the outdoors thing, getting kids out in a boat and building those bridges is what we do. You build that bridge, and then you've got a relationship. Now they're opening up and they talk with the issues that they're going through, and it's been fantastic. We've had some really life-changing experiences happen on the water and in the woods. That's just
you're saving lives because, believe it or not, just through conversation, maybe that's something they needed.
Yep.
That could save somebody's life.
I'll share a quick story about that. We were in a lunchroom, and when I'm in the lunchroom, we play trivia games with the kids, and I give them. We have candy prizes, so we'll get a crowd of 30 or 40 kids, and then before the lunch is done, I tell what I call a moral story. It's not. I don't cross the line of faith in the school setting. I'm careful about that because that keeps me in the school setting. Otherwise, I'm out.
Right.
But in there, I told a story about a girl, and her friend found a suicide note and decided what she was going to do. How do I be a good friend? She showed it to a principal. Instead of worrying about the friend getting upset at her, she got help. And this is a true story. It was girls in my youth group. And that girl got help, went on. I look on Facebook. That girl is there. She's married. She has 3 beautiful daughters, and she's doing great. After that story, a girl came up to me and said, that story is so true. And I said, about being a good friend? She said, no, about wanting to kill myself sometimes. And you have that moment where your heart stops for a second.
Yeah,
you go,
absolutely.
Whoa, this just got serious.
Yeah.
And I was able to talk with a principal. They were able to talk with a counselor, and the girl got into counseling, and it was really cool. And all of it just came out of playing games, telling stories, and building the relationship.
Isn't that neat? I mean,
it's phenomenal.
When you're on the water, that's pretty much what it is. It's stories.
Yep.
I got a bigger fish than you did, or you laugh. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, when you get on the water, it brings up the past, the good memories, and so forth. And you're making memories every time you hit the water. I've taken both my daughters fishing. I didn't have a boat, so we would go to the same place. I mean, I got an older daughter, a younger daughter. We fish. Whether we catch a fish or not, that's not what it's there for. It's there to talk. How was your day, and how's things going. Open up that line of communication, because peer pressure right now is believe it or not, 2nd and 3rd graders are even getting peer pressure now. I mean, back in the days, what's a cell phone? Now you got 3rd and 4th graders with cell phones and that kind of stuff, and things have changed. But the one thing that has stayed the same is fishing is an important part of a lot of people's lives, and I believe it or not, it builds responsibility, it builds teamwork, it builds respect. It builds those tools, like I was telling you off the air, about the toolbox my dad gave me. And those are the tools that are very important. And I think the sport of fishing is just, it's incredible. I mean, I look at these pictures, and there's not one kid that does not have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'd be grinning from ear to ear with these kind of fish, but it probably wouldn't have mattered if they even caught just a little bluegill, or a little perch. It's the experience, like you said, that helps these kids get through life, and it's probably, you reach out at first, and I'll bet you that they're probably reaching out to you. Hey, can we go fishing again?
All the time.
Then that's the cool part about Freewater Experience.
Well, it's so character building. It's not always easy. You don't always get fish right away. Sometimes it's cold out. You got to sit through rain. You got to work spot to spot, and it builds all those things. It builds patience. It builds, tenacity, creativity, coming up with new ways to do it, or finding new spots that no one knows. And it's just, there's so many parallels to that world of outdoors and regular life.
Right.
And sometimes I love the day when we fish for an hour and nothing's happening, and we change one thing, and then bam, we start getting into them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we always talk it through. Like, so what did we do different there? What does that tell you about, where in life do you need to do something different to meet success?
Yep.
And you can always transfer those lessons, and that, that debrief, you can always take people fishing. And one thing I really try and do is I've got teaching in my heart. I've always been that way, and I always try and have that conversation at the end that just puts an explanation point on it.
Right.
So they walk away thinking about, it wasn't just I caught fish, but there was this great experience, and here's how it relates to my life.
Well, our debrief was my dad was cleaning fish. We would sit there. we would actually sit there and, as we're cleaning the fish. Yeah, wasn't this the one that And we would go through everything we just went through during the day, and it just put us thinking, man, this guy is awesome. I'm glad he's my father, and I'm glad he's taking time out of his day and his life to give me the experience that his dad gave to him, and I'm handing down to my kids. Yeah. And that's what fishing's all about.
Absolutely. I'll share a really quick story with you about that. One of my a guy that I met, his name is Seth, and Seth was asking to go fishing, and I took him. We did fly fishing for salmon on the White River, which is it's 2 to 3 feet deep water and 20-pound fish. It's just insane. It's a crazy experience, but it's also that peaceful place where you're walking out and it's quiet. It just kind of calm, soothes your soul. You hear the fish splashing through the water, and it's so overloading and just so stimulating. But he caught a couple fish, and Seth had kind of wandered upstream a little bit, and he was fishing a little bit, and I wanted to check on him, and he turned and he was crying. And I said, "What's going on, man?" He said, "I haven't been fishing." Seth, I think, is in his 30s. He said, "I haven't been fishing since I was a young teenager when my dad died."
Right.
He was the last person I fished with. And I thought, man, it's just... not every time is this emotional thing, but for Seth, that was like a moving on moment. Yeah, yeah. And he's fishing again, and he's enjoying that with his girlfriend and people he knows, and just having that moment to kind of reconnect. And it was cool. It was a powerful moment. Well,
I've got in my tackle box, I have a couple lures that after my father passed away that I went in his tackle box, and I remember back in the days that he said these are the ones that whether I catch fish or not, they're in my tackle box. Yeah. And I look back on it every time I open that up, I'm like, yeah, he's the reason why I'm doing this. And fishing is what kept me out of trouble as a kid too. Yep. And I think this whole experience is just amazing. You got a Facebook page also?
Yes.
And also you're on, is it West Michigan
Fishing Report?
Yes. And I tell you, if you want to know anything about what's going on anywhere in West Michigan, you need to go to this Facebook page, because it's an area where somebody will just say, hey, I want to fish the sand docks. What do you think? And you get 20 or 30 people giving them advice on what to do. And it's not crappy advice. They're telling them, hey, listen, this is what we did. Yep. You know how hunters are.
The guys who are like, I was there yesterday and we caught this, and it's working.
Exactly. They're not saying, well, I don't want to give them my spot. Hey, they want you to have a good experience, and that's one thing I noticed about that page is amazing. The information superhighway is just amazing on that Facebook page. Yeah, absolutely. Now, if the listeners want to get a hold of you to get involved in Freewater Experience, how can they do that?
We've got a webpage, freewaterexperience.com. That's kind of our hub. You can see articles on there. There's videos. We've had a chance to make our own videos. We've also filmed with Jimmy Gretzinger with Michigan Out of Doors a couple times.
Oh, I love that show.
And he does a great job. He's a great friend of our ministry and supports us. But activities that we're doing around there too. We do a fishing class. We're almost finishing up our fishing class. We've had, in the couple of years we've done it, almost 100 guys go through this 5-week class. But the website's kind of our hub. There's a contact page. My email's on there. My phone number's on there. And basically, send me an email, and we set it up. Is
that what this is, the 5-week class? Is that, yeah. Okay, I was looking at that. And
you've got the flyer for it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. They can the class is at the Spring Lake Christian Reformed Church. It's Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 7:45. The cost is very, very minimal. I mean, when you look at that compared to the experience of a lifetime, this is like pennies, to be honest with you.
Well, we charge $40 for the class and $20 for family member. Yeah. Half price for additional family members. But 2 weeks ago, a little high school girl walked away with a compound bow that was donated to us. So there's her $40.
That's
and
awesome.
Then some.
That's awesome.
So that was cool. The class is just winding down. We run that periodically, so people would need to check to see when the next one is. We also do seminars at the library in Grand Haven once in a while, so that's cool. But everything is on the webpage.
Cool. And if they need to get a hold of you email-wise, how can they do that?
My email address is r_GABEL@hotmail.com.
And your phone number?
My phone number is 616-402-0564.
And they can also get a hold of you at freewaterexperience.com, and the Facebook page is West Michigan Fishing Report.
Yep.
And send a request in. And
it's a private group, so you need to request to join. And we did that so that only members can benefit from the information. Right. So request to join, and then me or one of the other, I think, 5 administrators will approve you, and start enjoying the information. It's free, and it's been awesome.
And I tell you, just by looking at these pictures, I know that I can just tell by your face and the kids' faces, this is an experience that everybody needs to do.
Yeah.
And it's soothing, it's therapeutic, and believe it or not, if you're having a really bad day, fishing is about one of the best things I could ever think about to change that day, whether you catch a fish or not. What's the famous saying? A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work. Or
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean,
well, and I guess I feel lucky because fishing is my work. So.
Yeah, and you do a heck of a job. You know, I'm glad to have you on County Line Sports because I think this is a powerful tool, and I think you do a heck of a job.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, one thing I talk with a lot of kids, and it seems like the video game thing, that's one of my pet peeves right now.
Oh, yeah.
So many kids into games like Call of Duty and Halo and that virtual thing, and I challenge them with this. I said, if you go in the woods, put a real gun in your hands and go hunt a deer, and that experience, like, it's so overshadows like any virtual game you can play.
You're right.
There's just nothing like it.
You're right.
And we did this last fall. A kid who, he likes sports, likes video games and stuff. We got him up in a tree stand, and we were there about a half hour, and a doe came, and he leveled in on it. We had a doe tag. It's his first deer, and he smoked her, and his hands were shaking. He couldn't even speak.
Right.
And afterwards, we watched video. We self-videoed it, and
that's cool.
We watched the video, and actually, if you go on YouTube, type in Mason's first deer Freewater Experience, and you can watch this little video. And afterwards, he just said, "Man, I'm still shaking." And I said, "There's nothing like. There's no video game can do what the actual experience does." And that's been a huge kind of a campaign of mine. I really want to get kids away from the electronic entertainment and into real entertainment, into real life.
Right.
And whether it's fishing for a 4-foot-long gar that we catch, or giant catfish.
Those are fun. Gars
everything.
are fun.
They're crazy, and we're blessed to have hundreds of them around us.
Oh, yeah.
Salmon, whatever it is, it's that real experience. You walk away, you have a meal off the fish that you caught or the deer that you caught. It
trumps that virtual stuff. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's that handshaking experience you can't get from.
Yeah, it takes your breath away, to be honest with you. It really does. I know the first fish my youngest daughter ever caught, and it wasn't very big, but you would thought that it was the world record tarpon.
Oh, yeah.
From Key West. I mean, she's just like, "You got to take pictures. This is awesome." And she didn't stop talking about it for weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to send this picture to everybody, and I'm like, this is so cool.
I love the thrill.
Absolutely.
And watching them just light up when we take them out and they have those experiences is the best thing. And if you browse through the pictures on the webpage and on Facebook, like you said, every kid is smiling ear to ear because it's just this epic experience, and that's why we call it Freewater Experience. Yep. It's all experiencing this amazing stuff. And fishing is incredible, and the hunting. And Russ, I'm glad to have you on County Line Sports. I've been wanting to talk to you. We finally got a chance, and this is a great message. This is a great program, and people need to reach out and get involved. And I think you do a heck of a job. Awesome. Thanks so much. Absolutely enjoyed having you on the show, and maybe we'll have you on periodically. We'll be talking about some fishing, maybe even hunting too. Yeah, well, we love. I love bringing kids up to Hamlin Lake in the springtime. It's Bring them on the show. Place. Yeah, that would be cool. We're up here quite a bit. Absolutely. So. You always got a platform here. Feel free to stop by, and we'll definitely get you on the show again. Awesome. Thanks, Bill. All right, no problem. That was Russ Gable, the director and founder of Freewater Experience. You really need to check him out at freewaterexperience.com, or you can give him a call at 616-402-0564. And, Russ, how are you guys funded? We are a 501c3. We're a donation-based organization. So we have people who resonate with what we do, whether it's working with kids or they're passionate about the outdoors, and they donate money to us. Some people send one-time gifts. Some people use it as part of their regular monthly giving. Because we're a 501c3, we issue receipts, so it's all tax deductible. Sometimes it's monetary. Sometimes people donate outdoor gear, rods, equipment, reels, things like that. But it's all donation-based, so that's how we're going. And I always tell my donors, without that donation base, there is no Freewater Experience. So that's how we do it. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, volunteers and donations are definitely needed to keep this wonderful program going. So don't forget to get a hold of Russ, and we'll keep Freewater Experience going for years to come. Awesome. Sounds great. All right, thank you. We'll be right back after these messages right here on County Line Sports.